Internal Revenue Service IRS tax news. How to avoid fraud and scams after a disaster. IRS Tax Tip 2021-142, September 27, 2021. Criminals and fraudsters often see disasters as an opportunity to take advantage of victims when they are most vulnerable, as well as the generous taxpayers who want to help with relief efforts. These disaster scams normally start with the unsolicited contact. So obviously you could either be in the area where the disaster has happened, which of course means that you could actually use help at that point in time. And the scammer, of course, is not actually there to help, but they're going to be scamming. And you have the people that want to help out that are possibly not located in the same area, where the scammers then have an opportunity to scam them as well for things like charities and stuff, or impersonations of charities. So the scammer contacts their possible victim by telephone, social media, email, or in person. So typically you'll have that unsolicited contact. Typically the unsolicited contact will have some sense of urgency related to it, possibly some pressure, especially if it's an in-person type of thing, trying to basically say, well, if you don't give to this charity, you're a bad person, right? Or what, this and that. But obviously, that sense of urgency is an indication that it could quite likely be a scam. And usually you're best to be able to take a step back and say, nah, I think I'll, check out, give me your card, give me your website. I'll go look at it on my own time and possibly give to you at a later point, and so on. So also, taxpayers may search for a charity online and be directed to a website or social media page that is not affiliated with an actual charity. Here are some tips to help taxpayers recognize a scam and avoid becoming a victim. Some thieves pretend they are from a charity. They do this to get money or private information for well-intended taxpayers. So again, if you're in that situation where they're asking for charitable money, then you want to, of course, verify that they're an actual charity. You can at least do some research, check it out, their website, and see if they have an online presence. They should at least have, a website and whatnot. And then you can go into their credentials as to whether they're a certified charity of some sort and go from that point. But again, if someone's asking you and pressuring you for money and saying, well, if you don't give now, you've got a cold heart, you've got a heart of stone, then, that's probably a scam. And like, no, I'll give you money later. So bogus website use names like legitimate charities. They do this scam to trick people to send money or provide personal financial information. Scammers even claim to be working for or on behalf of the IRS. So that's kind of a more bold type of statement here, because now they're saying they're actually trying to claim they're from the IRS, which is kind of ridiculous if you have any kind of contact with the IRS, because it'll look, that's not what the IRS will typically do. So it's kind of a bold move to do that, but they are doing that quite often with calls and or emails or some other contact. So the thieves say they can help victims file casualty loss claims and get tax refunds. So they're actually saying they work for the IRS and we're helping the victims or whatever. I don't know. So anyways, if the IRS, you get a call like that, then you hang up on them. Disaster victims can call the IRS toll-free disaster assistance line at 866-562-5227. There'll be a link to this in the description. So if you want that number, you can check it out there. Phone assistors will answer questions about tax relief or disaster-related tax issues. Taxpayers who want to make donations can get information to help them on irs.gov. The tax-exempt organization search, there's a link to that here, helps users find verify qualified charities. So again, if someone asks you to send to a charity or so on and so forth, then you might want to check them out and see if you could find them on the exempt organization search. There's a link to that here, and or just look for a related search that finds a charity that you think is actually one that is doing what you want them to do. So if someone convinces you that there's this disaster, we need to help them out, and you look them up and you're not you don't really know if their charity is really legit, but there might be possibly other charities that can steer your money that you might think are more legitimate charities. And even when you're given to charities are not all the same, because charities are running, the people that work for the charity obviously are running off the charity, which is good. They should get paid like employees. But the question is, well, how much do they get paid, right? How much of the, how well is the charity run, and how much of the money that's going to the charity is actually going to the charitable things, and how efficient are they at getting the money, running the charity and running it efficiently, and so on. Those things are difficult to determine with a charity because you don't have that profit motive and whatnot. The money's coming. It's kind of a complicated thing. But it's useful to look up the charities and see if you're getting a good one that's making the money work the way it's supposed to. So donations to these charities may be tax deductible. Taxpayers should always contribute by check or credit card to have a record of tax deduction donations if they choose to give money. Individual taxpayers can deduct up to $300, and married couples could deduct up to $600, and qualified charities contributions for tax year 2021, even if they don't itemize. So if you ever get someone asking you for money and they're saying they're a charity and they don't want like a check, especially if they want it from a gift card or something like that, that's because they don't want the money to be tracked. So you do want the money to be tracked because you might get a deduction from it, and that's part of the point. I mean, it's not really the point of giving to charity. Like I would be fine to give cash to charities and whatnot and not even get the deduction if I thought the money was going somewhere good, if it was that's the point. But from a tracking standpoint, you don't mind that they're tracking that you gave to charity. That's a good thing usually. So, and it's something that could lead to a deduction. So if you're given to a legitimate charity, then you should want to do it with a check or some kind of credit card or electronic transfer that you can monitor and then have evidence of it. If you're given to something that's not a charity, but you think it's a good thing to give to, just a person, for example, that you think deserves money and you want to just give them cash or something, that's fine because you're not going to be, you can do what you want to do with your money. But if you're given to an organization, then you'll typically want to obviously track it, is kind of the point. So donors should not give out personal financial information to anyone who solicits a contribution. This includes things like social security numbers or credit card and bank account numbers and passwords. So if they're asking for a charitable donation, they don't need your personal information. You're giving them money. They don't need to know your social security number, for example, in order to give you. They might say that. You can imagine them saying that and saying, hey, if you want this deducted on your tax return, I need your social security number. No, you don't. They don't need your social security number because they're not the ones reporting to the IRS that they got the money from you. You're the one that's going to be reporting it on your tax return. So you don't need to give them personal information, just the donation, right? And then you need to track it for taxes by they need to give you information that you gave money, possibly like some kind of receipt, thank you letter or whatever. And then of course you track it on your side because you have the electronic transfer if it was a credit card, or if you wrote a check, then you can have the check that you gave. So more information can be found at the National Center for Disaster Fraud. There's a link to that here, or disasterassistance.gov. There's links to that reading information here. There'll be a link to this in the description.